Christus, behold a matter that is deeply displeasing to me, namely, how few there are who recognize the value of time, the time that I lend to men for doing penance, for increasing the grace given to them, for acquiring heavenly glory. Lo, the acceptable yet irrevocable time passes, and no one is considering it in his heart. The days of salvation are slipping by, and no one makes the occasion of their flight of reason a reason for using well what can never return. But thou, as far as thou art able, flee the things of time, such as acquaintanceship, speech making, and occupations of small profit, and because the days are evil, redeem the time that should be given rather to me and to thy soul than to others. Is my proposition hard and difficult? Observe how much time is given up to the body for food and sleep, to conversation, banquets, and the rest, so that you cannot give ever so small a portion to God, to your soul, to eternity. Alas, how prodigal men are of time when it is a question of serving vanity, how sparing of it when it is the case of occupying themselves with this business to whom all time is owed. F. M. Horst. Jesus, be thou ever with me in my way. In every place and at every time be my good guide, that I go not astray in the byways. Thomas A. Kempis. Let me put this away right here. How's it going, everybody? Just wanted to start off by reading it before doing an introduction. Well, I guess we're gonna have to deal with this little funny hair right here. Anyway, so I wanted to read and wanted to welcome you guys to another episode of Remember Me, and welcome to the first Sunday of Lent. We made it. What was it? 4 days. How you guys all doing? You guys suffering already? If you haven't, good job. If you are, hang in there. We got this. But without further ado, let me start off with get my notes right here. Always have to have my notes. Um, well, I wanted to highlight a section of this, and I'll repeat what I just read. Behold, the matter deeply displeasing to me, namely, how few there are who recognize the value of time that I lend to men for doing penance, for increasing the grace given to them, for acquiring heavenly glory. So, um, I guess this episode is going to be a little inside baseball or anything. I try not to make it too confusing to people who are barely getting their feet wet in the faith. But I was thinking about what I can say or what I'm getting from these readings, and what I got is there's a concept written by Saint Bonaventure. It's called the Triple Way. I think it's available. You can buy it. Have a copy. Should have brought the copy for the video, but it's okay. Saint Bonaventure writes about the triple way, and it's a very well-known method of spiritual growth. I think Saint Thomas Aquinas also mentions it, but I wanted to talk about the version that I'm most familiar with. I think Saint Thomas uses it too, but when I look at the part for doing penance, like these parts, doing penance for increasing grace given to them and for acquiring heavenly glory, what I look at doing penance, it equals into the purgative way, which is the the triple way to love God or for union with God. So the purgative way is the state of beginners in the spiritual life. That's the definition of the purgative way. And this is where most of us are at. I feel like for me, I'm at that level. I'm at the purgative way. I still have weaknesses that I have to work on, but this I'm giving you definitions of it again, just to reiterate the state of beginners in the spiritual life, and it follows. First, indeed, the principal effort incumbent on a man is to quit sin, and resist concupiscence, which tend to destroy charity. I think we've talked about this in other. I don't know if we've talked about concupiscence, but we were talking about trying to keep away from the stuff that makes us sin. And if you guys are giving up on social media right now, that's a good way. We have to separate ourselves in the best way today. And the first thing to start is to kind of, either the best thing that you can do is get rid of social media completely, or to try to minimize the way you use it. And you have to quit that stuff. I know with men, there's a big problem with pornography, right? And well, not unfortunately, but like in order for them to grow, right? I guess let me speak a little more personally for anybody who's watching this, like any men who are watching this. In order for you to increase in holy life, you have to get rid of the porno. You have to get rid of it. You have to drop it. It's not good for you. It's not good for you. It chains you down, makes you into a slave. Even if you think you're not a slave, you're a slave. You're a slave to that stuff because you can't stop watching it. It controls your life. You have a master essentially, and that's pornography. That's why you got to quit. You got to quit. Well, and everybody has problems. Everybody, especially men, have struggled with concupiscence, and that's another thing too. Like, we have to overcome concupiscence because it's the same deal. If you don't want to be a slave, if you don't want to be a slave to things, to the world, to sin, to the devil, you have to get rid of that stuff. Sometimes, like, the concupiscence is a little harder to get rid of because we, since we're fallen, we have that nature to do, but we have to do our best to we have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of it, right? We can't grow, right? If your goal is to grow in the spiritual life, and you're always going to start off in the purgative way, and it's purgative, like you purge this stuff out of your body. You have to purge it out of your life, right? It's purgatorial, right? It's the purgative, sorry, purgative way. You have to get rid of it, and you struggle, and it's hard to get rid of that stuff. It really is. um I've been taking my faith seriously for about 5 years, and I still struggle with it. I still struggle with it because it's I'm a fallen person just like everybody else, and we struggle from concupiscence. So the best thing that we have to do is to remove it. And you can do it cold turkey. You can do it in pieces, when it comes to this stuff. But it's best to just do it cold turkey, man. And the best thing to do is how do you replace it, right? If a man, I'm not saying that I have a porn problem, but if a man has a problem with porn, like he watches it all the time, right? How can he overcome that if he's addicted to it? Well, one thing is to occupy your time. It is true what they say. The saying is true. Idle hands are the tools of the devil. It's true, right? If you man or woman, this is for both. It's man or women. If you have a problem with pornography, the best thing that you can do is the first thing you need to recognize is that you have too much time on your hands, and you need to be doing something a little more productive, right? It's you stop, put the porn down. You need to go and do something a little more productive, whatever that may be. You need to find something. You need to keep yourself away. The What you have to keep yourself away is from idle time. The best thing that you can do when you have idle time is to pray, is to read, is to hey is to do chores or something like that. Kind of, you have to pre-plan your day, I guess, but definitely, like, don't have the time don't have the free time don't have the free time, so you get bored and you start doom scrolling on your phone, right? And this is not an issue just with pornography. It's an issue with social media, whatever it is, whatever your vice is, right? If it's something like that, if it's whatever you struggle, whatever type of concupiscence you struggle with, the best thing that you can do is just, keep your time occupy your time with something else. But anyway, moving on. um like highlighting the um increasing the grace given to them. Now, when I was thinking about this, men who don't increase the grace given to them, I view it as like men who are technically, who are graduating from the purgative way and going to the um, illuminative way. Um, let me let me. Sorry, guys. This is all I'm doing. This all can't really edit, but anyway. Um, Sorry. Give me just 1 second. A lot of dead air, man. All right. So, increasing the grace given the illuminative way is the second stage of the spiritual life following the purgative way. A man principally aims at progressing in good, and this endeavor belongs to proficients who chiefly strive to strengthen charity by increasing it. It is spiritual adolescence, and it consists in following Jesus Christ, the light of the world, in earnest pursuit of holiness. The soul is no longer weak in charity, but definitely virtuous, right? And this you right, you have to take time. You have to do more. If you're increasing, if you're getting closer to the illuminative way, and you don't try to strive more, kind of get yourself in that middle section in between the purgative and the illuminative. I that's what I took it as not taking advantage of the graces given to you. For example, right, you could have time, which spending a half hour with the blessed sacrament is good. You have time for an hour, but you choose not to, just leave, right? Which is like, for example, maybe some people might disagree with me, but right, you do more than a normal person. Most people, most Catholics don't spend their time in front of the Blessed Sacrament. You do more, right? You spend 30 minutes, but say you have an hour and you just don't spend the hour when you could. That's what I look at, like not taking advantage of grace. Well, another thing is taking advantage of grace is not going to mass. Just only going to mass once a week. Now, this the way I interpret it is kind of like you're doing very good in mass, right? This is like if you're really good at, you're doing really well at mass, you're appreciating the mass, but you don't continue, you just go once a week. And instead of like the opportunity to grow in holiness or to receive more graces is made like some parishes have masses every day. And if you throughout the week you just go once a week. That's what I look at it, like not taking advantage of grace. Like when you have the advantage to receive our Lord more than once a week and you choose not to, and you have the opportunity and you choose not to, and you stay in that, right, you're doing better than what people than most people do, but you don't take advantage of the graces God has given you. The graces God, you know that um you should be doing it, but you don't take advantage of it, right? That would be like kind of stunting yourself, right? Which is like you have the grace, you have the ability, you have the time to be in the illuminative way, but you choose not to. That's how I look at it. um and you're not trying to be virtuous, right? You are at that level. It's kind of like you have the graces, you're just not acting on it. That's another thing. Like a lot of people have a lot of grace, they just don't act on it, and they throw it down the drain, right? They just throw it away, they don't appreciate it. And when you really think about it, like that's another way that either you're going to spend some time in purgatory or you're going to go to hell. You get the graces, you don't take advantage of it, you don't appreciate it. And hey, it's even as I'm saying it right now, I'm kind of thinking about myself. Am I doing this? Like, should I do this? Should I do this more? And if you feel like you're somebody like the above average Catholic, like you fancy yourself that, you have to do more. You have to take advantage of the graces given. But anyway, then we look at this acquiring heavenly glory, right? I took it as like acquiring, reaching to the unitive way. So this follows schematically on the illuminative way, not schismatically, but schematically. All right. So don't confuse the words. Okay. But anyway, it is the highest state of the spiritual life in which the soul progresses in union with God through Jesus Christ. The third effort of man is to give his principal attention to union with God and enjoyment of God. So the way I look at these, you know, the way I look at this again is we were just talking about it right now is refusing to take advantage of the graces. You can't get to the unitive way without taking advantage of every grace God gives you. And if you're in that spot, whether by fear or by laziness, you just don't push it. You get to a point where God gives you graces and you do take advantage of it, but you don't take advantage of it more than you should. You get stuck in this place. It's a bad place to stay, and we should take advantage of it. We should strive for the unitive way. Now, I know that most people in life don't get there. But what I feel that God thinks is admirable, what God loves, or what God rewards is someone trying, and never giving up on that. And that's what we have to do on these three ways, right? These three ways of look at the purgative, the illuminative, and the unitive way is just you don't know. It's a message for you. Is you don't know how far you can get. We don't know what kind of graces God's going to give us. But what God appreciates is that we try to get to those places. Like we try to do it. We try to get there every time, right? Even if we fail. If you go your entire life trying to strive for the illuminative way, you have a war with yourself, right? And you try, God's going to appreciate that. Even if you never reach the illuminative way in your mortal life, God will appreciate that you tried. You tried, and he will recognize that. So don't be discouraged, man. Most of us, just to be realistic with you, and I'm talking to myself included, we're not we're not going to reach the unitive way. There might be exceptions. You might be the exception. You might be the one that, hey, I proved you wrong. And if you did, I'm like, yeah, well, congratulations. Yeah. I mean, the exception makes the rule, but generally, we're not going to reach the unitive way in this life. But what's admirable is the journey to get there, is to keep doing it, even for love of God, to keep doing something even when we fail at it, right? To keep doing. We're going to keep going, we're going to keep doing, we're going to, right, even if there's that, or you'll do it slowly, right? You'll get to the most holiest stage possible for yourself. You'll get to it. You'll get to it slowly, right? Millimeters, right? As long as you get there. Okay. It's like running a mile. It's like the point is to run the mile. Sometimes you can run it at full speed. Sometimes you can run it at medium speed. Sometimes you have to jog to do it. But the important thing is to do the mile, and that's how I view it. So, and just to highlight another thing, flee the things of time, such as acquaintanceship, speech making, occupations of small profit. And because the days are evil, redeem the time that should be given rather to me and to thy soul than to others. So, again, we were talking about this already. I wanted to um, highlight this in another section because I think they both come together. Is my proposition hard and difficult? Observe how much time is given up to the body for food and sleep, to conversation, banquets, and the rest, so that you cannot give ever so small a portion to God, to your soul, and to eternity. So this is the hard part, right? We're in Lent. It's a Sunday, right? It's we've been at this for 4 days, and this shouldn't stop after Lent's over. The difficult part is to kind of remove ourselves from society. And I'm not saying this in a cult like thing, but definitely like, we have to live for God. And we come to a point, every Catholic, right, when they start taking their faith seriously, and they get to the point where they're talking about you get to a fork in the road where it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to continue on this road of holiness? But that means that I have to remove myself sometimes slowly, sometimes instantly, from our society. That means, from social media, trads, from the world, right? Uh, trads. I think the word is trad, not traditional people, but yeah, like trends. Sorry, not trads. From trends from the world. Like what we're in a fork in the road, right? Like what are we gonna do? And it's been difficult for me too because the thing is that when you spend time in the world, you live for the world, you do stuff for the world, it becomes difficult because you have those stains stuck in your soul, right? Going back full circle, talking about the purgative stage, right? When you get to a stage, the purgative stage, when you initiate the purgative stage, it becomes harder because you actually do know what you're missing, which is why to a certain extent I do, uh and it's not of any bad will or anything like that, but I do envy kids who are homeschooled because they don't know any of that stuff. And like they say that ignorance is bliss, and it's true. It's nice to be ignorant about those things. It's nice to, if I were to open up personally, right, without being too personal, but it's nice not knowing what the fruit tastes like, the forbidden fruit tastes like. It's nice to know, like, it is kind of there. And keep in mind, guys, I guess that we can talk about Adam and Eve all we want when it comes to, like, why did Eve eat the apple or whatever, the fruit, why did she eat the fruit? But we've had our Eve moments too, where the devil offers us some knowledge and we take it without the consequences. And a lot of us, whether we know it or not, we live with that guilt, right? Like, I think um life, I think when in life, very the Bible redoes itself. Like, it's the same story but with different things. And I think we all have our moments where we are like Adam and Eve, where our pride and everything like that, we decide to get knowledge, right? And principally, if you allow me to rant, I'm talking about like carnal knowledge. We get the carnal knowledge and without knowing the consequences, and then we have to live with the consequences, and we can't get rid of it. It's like kind of like original sin. Like, we can't ever get rid of original sin. We have to live with it because of the knowledge that we know. And it's the same thing with carnal knowledge, with fornication, for example. Like, you have information about someone, and it not only ruins them, but it ruins you in more ways than you thought. But that's a conversation for a different time. But yeah, to reiterate, this chapter was God speaking to us, Christ speaking to us, asking us if it's difficult to give time to Him. And I was struggling. I was actually struggling yesterday with prayer. I have a set prayer schedule that I want to do for Lent, and I was having difficulty. And I was like, hey, you know what? Get out of bed, put your you know put your game down, and pray. And yes, it's something that I will say principally that I need to work on. And it's we have to start putting away the things that take us away from God if we want to grow in holiness. But anyway, guys, a lot of stuff, a lot of subject matter. Actually, I'm actually having it's pretty fun writing these notes. I'm actually growing more than I thought I would. I hope you guys are doing some spiritual reading and you guys are hanging in there in your Lenten fast. Uh, I hope everything's going well. If you failed already in your task for Lent, get back up there. Don't give up. Just start all over again. We can do this. So we're in this together. We got I don't know how many more. What is it, like 4 more weeks? Maybe four, maybe three. I don't know. I didn't count, but we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. February is almost over, so hang in there and pray for me as I'll pray for you. Until next time, God bless.